Yeah, I do want one.
Sitting in the freezer.
No, not a bit of porridge.
Oh, come on, stop moaning, lad. It's free. I also prefer.
I find the kosher shops always defrost them and refreeze them, and they're never crisp. They're always limp.
They're always soggy.
That's why I only get them out kosher.
These are actually quite crispy.
Are we having one?
Oh, wait, they're back there.
Ice cream.
Already being recorded, by the way.
All right.
So,
No, ice cream.
Wow. It's got gluten. It's got gluten.
The ice cream part doesn't.
That's fine. Thank you.
Get a spoon and
All being recorded, and Yehuda is on. How are you, Yehuda? You okay?
Good, Prophet Sam, how are you?
If you came here, you'd get a drink. It's my last, maybe. I thought I had to say no.
There's space for them. They've been offered the space.
Are you not having Harvey?
I'm waiting to see if the thing is limp or is the cone limp or
limp, I mean, sorry.
yeah, the kosher shops always limp. They defrost it, refreeze it. No, I can't.
But why do they do that?
Because
They
they're
don't
not
have to
defrosting it.
refreeze it. They're just sat in the freezer.
I can't have a limp cone.
Yeah, doesn't go.
Right here, where are we up
I don't
to?
miss the motor, you know.
Sure, thanks.
Why do they do that with them?
You're coming from Cross Road?
Cool.
That has been very soft. So
We're up to Daf Kufyut Gimel Amud Aleph by the second Mishnah of the page.
We have a second mission.
Yeah, the second Mishnah of the page, yes. If you give me the second
It was
Mishnah.
warm last time, actually.
Says the Mishnah, "Mekapines akelim, you're allowed to fold up your clothes, afilu arba v'chamisha pamim, even 4 or 5 times. Why? Because a person keeps using the same cups, the same clothes again and again. Therefore, since he needs the cups, he's allowed to. Since he needs the clothes, he's allowed to fold them. We look at the top, the Tosfos, the second to bottom Tosfos. Kaplan Kalim, I'm not going to get into people hopefully get backs up. If you read Tosfos, I'm not going to say anything more than Tosfos says. Mikan lomanu de osle kapel talisus b'sakneses fishem serech mochom. You are not allowed to fold up the shul's talis. Why? Because you're not going to use it till tomorrow, so you're not allowed to fold up the shul's talis. I don't know how many times I've seen people folding up the talis after davening. Tosfos says you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to do it only in pieces.
I'm just reading Tosfos. I don't want to get anybody upset. I read Tosfos. Mishvor, you're right. Mishvor says only in its creases, not in its creases. It's okay. Mishvor says that not in its creases, those who've got Yirah Shemaim will not fold it, even not in its creases. For some reason, though, people always, I see many people fold it. I'm just telling what Tosfos. My submission says you're allowed to because you're going to use the same clothes again. You're allowed to make your bed when you wake up in the morning, Shabbos morning, for the same day. But sometimes you'll go for a rest Shabbos afternoon. Furthermore, sometimes people used to sit on their beds, and sometimes people want to be around the bedroom. So you're allowed to make your bed tidy. If you're going to be out of the bedroom, you're just doing it in order that Motzei Shabbos, you should have a comfortable bed, that is forbidden. Aber lo Shabbos to Motzei Shabbos, not from Shabbos to Motzei Shabbos. Rabbi Shmuel Omer, Mekapin es hakelim umatzin es hamitzvos mimakipurim l'Shabbos. If Yom Kippur is a Friday, nowadays Yom Kippur is never a Friday. The Gemara Moshe tells us that we arranged it Chazal that Yom Kippur will never be a Shabbos. Yom Kippur will never be a Friday. Why won't it be a Friday? Does anybody know? Strange reasons. The vegetables go bad on 2 days of not being able to look after. Okay, anyway, if Yom Kippur is never a Friday, but that's only nowadays. Nowadays, it was possible for Yom Kippur to be a Friday. So Shmuel says, the basic idea of Rabbi Shmuel is that Yom Kippur is not as great as Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is not as great as Shabbos. Therefore, one is allowed to prepare from Yom Kippur to Shabbos. So let's say a person's got a talis and he wants to have it ready for Shabbos. He's allowed to fold it, or whatever it may be, from Yom Kippur to Shabbos. Just like you're allowed to do it from Shabbos to Shabbos. You're not allowed to do it from Shabbos to Sunday. But from Friday to Shabbos is also, from Yom Kippur to Shabbos is okay. That means, if Yom Kippur is a Sunday, which also doesn't happen nowadays, but it could have happened in the olden days, then what happens is the halacha is that there are certain carbonates you're allowed to bring on Shabbos, like the carbon tomit. If they're leftover fats, you're allowed to burn them on Yom Kippur for the same reason that Yom Kippur is less important than Shabbos. Yom Kippur is subservient to Shabbos, and therefore you haven't managed to burn everything on Shabbos, you have to burn it on Yom Kippur. We're not allowed to burn the fats of Yom Kippur on Shabbos. Let's see what carbon Yom Kippur. And you never managed to burn all the fats on Yom Kippur, you can't burn it on Shabbos. He says both are forbidden on each other. That means you're not allowed to prepare Yom Kippur for Shabbos, and you're not allowed to burn the fats of Shabbos in Yom Kippur. He holds that Yom Kippur is just as great as Shabbos, and one's not allowed to do malacha. No, obviously, we're not allowed to do a malacha over here. So we're not allowed to prepare on Yom Kippur for Shabbos, etc. Now the Gemara brings a list of rules as to when you're allowed to fold and when you're not allowed to fold. And the Gemara brings a long list where you need to have all of these conditions for it to be permitted. If you're missing just one of these conditions, it is forbidden. So you're not allowed to have two people folding together, ever. That means even if you're doing it for the same Shabbos, you're not allowed to have two people folding. Mishnah Berurah adds that if you fold on a table or on a bench, that's considered like two people, because the idea of two people is that when you've got two people folding, you can do a much better fold. And when you fold on a table, you can also fold better. So you're not allowed to fold the table on Shabbos. Even one person, which is said is permitted, it's still forbidden. Only with new clothes. With old clothes, it's forbidden. Why is it forbidden with old clothes? Because folding an old item of clothing has more effect. Colored clothes, when you fold them, somehow it makes it a much better. The creases of a colored item of clothing are more fundamental to it than a white clothing. If you've got nothing else to wear, if you've got something else to wear, it's forbidden. So again, when are you allowed to fold on Shabbos? When you've got nothing else to wear, when you're doing it by yourself, where it's not a colored clothing, when it is new, then it is permitted. But if it's old or you do it with two people, it's all forbidden. And look at the bottom traces. We have other clothes, so you're never allowed to fold clothes. What happens if you've got two pairs of trousers? One's really nice, one's not so nice. Are you allowed to fold A, which is nice, if you've got B, which is less good? Do you say, I don't have anything as good as this one, so therefore I need it for Shabbos? Or do you say that no, you've got something else to wear? It might not be quite as good, but you've got something else to wear. The Maisa, the B'Shem Zalman holds, most persons can agree with him, that Friday night, if you put your trousers over your chair in a way that the creases settle upon themselves, that it is okay. Because that is not folding to the creases. That is simply letting the creases hang in a way that they do not get crumpled. He holds it's okay. But he adds that to actually smooth out the creases as you put them on the chair, that's forbidden. So what you can do is you can hold the trousers up, wait for them to go down, and then just put it over the chair, and that's permitted. Even the white clothes, which we said before, are allowed with all the different conditions, but they never did, because they had spare sets of clothes, so they never folded the clothes at all on Shabbos.
Ask about the talus. You know how there's a concept of like washing up dishes. It was like so before you, and you can do it. It's grabbing you.
Yeah, if it's disturbing you.
If it would disturb me all day in my talus in a crumpled pile, like I wouldn't be able to concentrate on Shabbos. I couldn't learn. Couldn't concentrate. All I'm thinking about is that horrible that talus in a horrible pile. Thinking that's what I'm saying. You know what I'm referring to?
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, that means you can do it not in its folds. Mishmor says that's some machim. But let's say even not in its folds. Let's say it's disturbing for a person.
Yeah, but if someone leaves it in shul, they're worried someone will take it and mess with it. Rather just put it away.
I don't know. I hear the argument to say that a person would be allowed to fold his talis where he's doing it only because it's to take away a disturbance, not doing it to repair. Just because it's disturbing him as the way it is. I don't know.
It's like it's for Shabbos.
It's for Shabbos. It's for the enjoyment of Shabbos. Yeah. Now the Gemara goes off at a tangent, an interesting tangent, and discusses the halachas of how to be mechabed Shabbos. Because we're talking about clothes. in Yeshua lahachlef, if a person can change clothes for Shabbos yachlef, he should change clothes. I don't know if I mentioned it, but yeah, I was just reading about Lady Jacobovitz. She was the wife of the chief rabbi. Did I mention it here? What happened was, they just wrote about her that she was, I read the biography of her, she was for 2 years in a hole in France during the Second World War. And every day the farmer would lower down. There were 5 children, 2 girls, 3 boys, all around the age of 12. They became best friends forever for 2 years and didn't come out of a hole. They would only know it was light or day from looking up in the sky and never came out. And every day the farmer would lower down a bucket, which they would relieve themselves in and everything else needed, and 5 pieces of bread. And at night, and the next day, would take out the old bucket, put a fresh bucket, another 5. That's what they did. And when they came springtime, they had no idea when was Pesach. They came up with this idea that Pesach time, you get new clothes, but they had nothing. So they swapped clothes. The girls swapped with each other, and the boys swapped around. And that way, they should have something new for Yom Tov. They didn't know when Pesach was. They estimated, according to the weather seasons, when it came springtime, they swapped clothes. I was saying it to my children. I know we don't live. You can imagine some of my children won't wear a pair of socks if it belongs to somebody else. You know, it's not my socks. Why should I wear it? Here, they didn't wash for months on end, and they swapped clothes for covered Pesach. So if a person can't afford to get new clothes for Shabbos, at least he should swap his clothes, wear a different pair of clothing. If a person doesn't have a spare set of clothing, Yeshal should have got it. What he should do is let his clothes go long. In the olden days, people would wear like cloaks, and they would tie the cloaks into the belt because that way you can walk faster. But on Shabbos, you should let your cloaks go long. I've actually seen, and that's why you see these people wearing really long cloaks on Shabbos. It's fast, I once saw it. Because a covered Shabbos, you're supposed to wear very, very long clothes. It looks like a bad guy to wear long clothes. And since generally a person doesn't wear long clothes, where the COVID is only doing it for Shabbos, it doesn't look like bad guy to wear long clothes. So for Shabbos, you should wear an extra long item of clothing. The more now darshans the pasuk, and it will explains each part of the pasuk. Your Shabbos clothes should not be the same as your weekday clothes, rather they should be better than that. Rabbi Yochanan called his clothes mechabdusi, that they give me honor. A person's clothes say a very lot about a person. So therefore, Rabbi Yochanan would call his clothes the ones that give me honor. They are the ones who establish who I am. So therefore, v'chibadato means to honor Shabbos, means you should be mechabed it by having nice clothes for what's the word for Shabbos. On Shabbos, you should not walk like weekday. You should take small steps on Shabbos. How small should the steps be on Shabbos? There's Pasuk in Halacha, no more than an amma. Mishabur explains that a person's foot is usually half an amma. So therefore, for Shabbos, it comes out that you should only walk if the distance between your feet is the same as the size of the length of your shoe. Because the Mishnah says you have to include the shoe length in the amma. So when you walk into Shabbos, you should make sure the distance between your steps should be no longer than the length of your shoe, the distance between each feet. There was a time that I was makbid about it, and I cannot tell you how difficult it is. It's extremely difficult. Something to learn together. And he was always very makbid about it. So when I see other people being makbid for tkufa, I copied him.
Very slow.
It's very, very small steps. You work it out. That means the distance between each foot has to be the size of one shoe length. From your own items, you're allowed to get involved in chefze shemayim. You're allowed to, for example, get involved in shidduchim and stocker, even if you discuss money. But top of Kuf Gimel on the base. Your Shabbos speech should not be the same as your weekday speech. I'm going to read out the Tosfos. I know people are not going to. I hope it's not. It says Tosfos, the whole Tosfos, all the Tosfos of this page we're going to do. Who's because just going you're not allowed to do business on Shabbos. They near in your town. Says that in the town, it doesn't seem the right pshat. They shouldn't talk about business. Why? That's already included in Mitzvah Chefzecha, not getting busy with your own business. So it says that David Dover, they shouldn't talk on Shabbos like weekday. It doesn't mean business, because I already know. He had an old mother, She used to talk a lot. She used to chat. Oh my Lord, my mother. Shabbos, it's Shabbos. Shosko, she stopped talking. You're not allowed to talk on Shabbos like you do on weekday. That means only with difficulty did they permit people to say hello on Shabbos. That really one should not say hello on Shabbos, because really on Shabbos you shouldn't talk at all. That means a person on Shabbos should not talk at all about anything except for Divrei Torah and Tefillah. I was reading a biography of Yitzchak Blazer, Petersburger, St. Petersburg, and he on Shabbos and Yom Tov from the age of 20 never talked a word except for Torah and Tefillah. Shai, you can still do it. From the age of 20, never talked a word of Shabbos and Yom Tov.
Not 20.
He never said a word of Divrei Chol on Shabbos for Yom Tov. Can you imagine? I once heard from Shimshon Pinkas a very, very nice point. Why in the world, what's wrong with schmoozing on Shabbos? I want to talk on Shabbos about politics. What's wrong? He said a very sweet moshel. Imagine a chosn and kala in the Chedi Yichud, and the kala picks up the phone and chats with her friends. The Maisa, she doesn't talk about anything wrong. She talks about the chuppah, the news, the weather, the heat. Is she doing anything wrong? Of course she is. Finally, you get a chance to spend a few minutes with your chosn you haven't seen in months, and now you're going to start chatting to your friends. So Shabbos is a time we're supposed to be bonding with Hashem. And now somehow you find the time to start chatting to your friends. It's like the Chedi Yichud with Hashem. You start chatting, can you imagine how upset the chassan would be?
Basically, a kind of simple.
I don't know if I should have read this to you. I'm now wondering whether it's a bit too heavy. You in Kippur, you do that? That's amazing. I never knew in Kippur. You got cash? You agree? We should have read the Tosis, so you agree that we should do it. I can't hear. We should, okay. It's very difficult. I read the Tosis because Tosis says it, but I'm not.
Harder, the steps or the talking?
I think the talking is harder. When in Kippur, not to chat. I chat in Yom Kippur as well. Don't know. I tell you the truth about it is, I always would explore Mr. Petterberger. Actually, I have to say, in the biography, it says that before he got married to his wife, he said to her, look, this is a chumrah that I have. Do you mind? And she said no. Because the truth of the matter is, it's one thing on the husband, but think about the wife. He didn't shmooze her for Shabbos and Yom Tov. That's like 50, 60 days a year, easily, that he never talked about anything. The world carries on. Okay, I just wanted to read the Tosis. It's a very famous Tosis, that you shouldn't shmooze on Shabbos. I think the Moshe of Shimshon Pinkas is beautiful, because if you think about it, how upset the chassan would be. I remember somebody even telling me that he can't forgive his wife. I don't know how many years been married, about 40 years. That's not a good marriage. But anyway, he said, why? Because on the way down from the chuppah to the Chedi Yichud, she saw a friend that she hadn't seen in a few months, and she went off to chat. He said he still remembers that. He said, what did you do so bad? You see this? Anyway, never mind, we're getting completely off foot. Dibur also hiru mutar. The Gemara says you're allowed to think. You're allowed to think about how much money you need to spend, all your business deals. But they shouldn't even say that. You shouldn't even think about it. All of them, the Gemara says, is clear. What does that mean? He comes to a stream. If he can put down the second foot before he takes off the first foot, that's okay. If you've got a stream of water, you have to be able to cross it, not to jump over it. Jumping, both feet leave the ground at the same time. Rather, what you should do is put one foot over the stream and then lift up the next one. What should he do? Leikev go round it, he'll end up walking longer. To walk through it, sometimes his clothes will get water while stays chita. In such a case, given to the Efsha, Shafit Dami, since it's impossible, you're allowed to jump over. Mishmur goes into great detail about this. What should you do if you've got a stream? Is it better to walk around? Is it better to go walk through it? Is it better to jump over? And it depends. And it depends on each situation. There's many halachas involving what's the correct thing. Because sometimes you're allowed to walk through. If it's a long way round and you walk through it, if you can jump over it, that is the best. I look at the boy when they Rabbi Yeshua by this. You're allowed to take a big step on Shabbos. You're not allowed to. You're never allowed to take big steps. A person, every time he takes a big step, loses a 500th of his sight. The Rishonim say if that's the case, we should still go blind. So the Rishonim say that each time a 500th of what's remaining. The Ritva says that once you've taken a few steps, One person gets used to it and it doesn't affect the vision anymore. Oh, and the Kiddush of Friday night comes back. Some say by drinking the wine. Tosfos and Pesachim talks about this. Or sometimes say by dipping the wine into your eyes. Says by looking to Tosfos, say by looking to Tosfos. Either it could be others. It's very ancient Maharal. He says that. Why does it work? Kiddush of Friday night. It's a very nice word. He says like this: that why does a person take big steps? Why does a person take big steps? Why are we rushing all the time? That's the first reason rushes is stress. Why is it stress? There's a certain lack of emunah. You think, I'm the one who's going to make my business. I have to catch the bus. I have to get here. I have to do this. And you're so worried about all your responsibilities that you start rushing around here, there, everywhere. But if a person believed that Shabbos was running this world, he wouldn't be rushing around so much. So that makes a person lose his sight. Why does he lose his sight? He loses the vision of the truth that Shabbos runs this world. And the vision comes back by the Friday night Kiddush. Okay. Interesting Gemara. You're allowed to eat earth on Shabbos. Earth can sometimes have health benefits. The same style. You're allowed to on weekdays. It makes a person ill. It makes a person get not well. If you eat the soul of bubble, it's eating his parents' bodies. Now, Shaul says interesting pshat, because I didn't think you were saying another pshat, so this is a pshat. It says like this. Now, it's in Bovel, they were very, very careless about how they buried people. And I saw in other countries they were careful. So therefore, when you eat, every single body usually turns back into earth. In Bovel, because they were careless, a person would end up eating earth. He could easily be eating the flesh of his parents. So therefore, a person in Bovel has to be careful not to eat the flesh. And some say it's as if you're eating people callings. Why? That what happened was by the mabul, all the water dissolved everything and took it down to Bovel. Why is Bovel called Shino? They were all thrown there, they were all poured down there. Why is Bovel called Mitzula, the depths? It's as if they all sunk into Bovel. Bovel is a very low land. Moses says, it's Mechu. Answer is, what asks the Kasha, what's the problem of eating the earth of Bovel? The Shkotzim and Mosim have dissolved. Since they've dissolved, there's nothing wrong. As well, Kiva the Malki, since it makes a person not well, goes with Abonon, the Ahu Gavad Ochal Gargishta, he ate some earth, but Ochal Tachli, and he ate some cress. But that means the cress was inside the earth. The Kotchule Tachli Belibe, the cress grew into his heart, and he died. So eating earth can be very, very dangerous. Since it can be dangerous, therefore they said that by eating earth, it's like they knew that if they tell people it's dangerous, people will ignore the instructions. So what did they do? They said that it is like eating shkotzim v'mosim to put people off. But by emes, it's not eating shkotzim v'mosim because it's all been dissolved. Now the Gemara carries on talking a little bit about Shabbos clothes. That's normally advising Rus to go down to the field of Boaz, to the barn where Boaz was, and she tells her to dress nicely. The Rashi explains the question of the Gemara is, what did Rus walk around without clothes? Gushad clothes. Edu begodim shel Shabbos, it's clothes of Shabbos. Rog explains, tell a person a wise thing and he becomes even wiser. It's referring to Rus and Shmuel. Why? Rus, she said, dress in your nice clothes and then go down to the barn. But by her, it doesn't say that she dressed nicely, then she went to the barn. But first she went to the barn. She didn't dress the Shabbos clothes and then go to the barn. She went to the barn and then dressed the Shabbos clothes, which was much, much more difficult. Why? Because that means she had to take with her all the nice cosmetics and the perfumes and the makeup and the clothes, and only there change. Instead of changing, why did she do that? As sneers, not to dress nicely and then go down to the barn. All the people would look at her on the way down. Again, I mentioned Shushan Pinkas, that there's buses every day that go from Yerushalayim to Bnei Brak with Chasna buses. And women get onto the bus and they put on perfume before they go on the bus because they're going to a Chasna. I remember, he said, this happen all the time. And then what happens is, he said that the perfume can be smelled by every man on the bus. So he said, it's a terrible thing. Why can't they just put a small bottle of perfume in the purse, and then in the handbag, and then when they get there, put on the perfume? Whatever you can do to delay as much as possible before you get chasna, that's a greater thing. Shmuel, by Shmuel, there the story was Shmuel was a little child, and what happened was a young man, and then what happened was Hashem spoke to him, and in those days there was hardly any nevuah. So Hashem called him. For some reason, Shmuel did not know that was Hashem calling him. He thought Eli was calling him. So he ran to Eli and said, Eli, what would you like? And Eli said, I never called you. He went back to bed, and again he heard the voice of Hashem. And again he ran to Eli. Eventually, Eli said to him, maybe Hashem is calling you. So next time you hear a voice calling you, say, speak Hashem. And Shmuel, when he said, he didn't say speak Hashem, he said just speak. Because he was nervous that maybe it wasn't Hashem calling him, maybe it was only a malach or a shade. And he didn't want to give that malach or the shade of the honor as if he considers them to be Hashem. The boy says inside, Shchav, go to bed, if the voice calls you, dabe Hashem, kishomei avdecha. Hashem called him again, Shmuel, Shmuel, dabe kishomei avdecha, dabe Hashem, he didn't say dabe Hashem. I don't say a small point, it's a deeper point, you've got time. But Ben Yoina, in Shabbos, says that whenever you tell Musa to somebody, then he says this passage, ten lechacham vayechkam oid. In order for him to understand it, he has to think something deeper. That means he has to come up with something greater. That means, normally told Rus an idea, get dressed in Shabbos clothes. And Rus took it a stage further. Instead of getting dressed in Shabbos clothes at home, he got dressed in Shabbos clothes only in the bar. But Yomi writes that whenever a person hears Musa, he has to do ten lechach vayechkam oid. I don't remember the words of the Yomi exactly off by heart. If you remind me later, I can text me, I can think, but it's in Shabbos. Ruben Leuchter once spoke about it in Kiryat Sefer, and he made a huge impression. So why, if you hear Musa, do you have to take it a stage further? He says there's a very big difference. In England nowadays, you've got Word, where you can do copy-paste. What you do is, you cut a part of one Word document and you paste it to another Word document. And that is what, unfortunately, a lot of people do whenever they get Divrei Torah. They hear Divrei Torah, they copy-paste it, repeat it, etc. He says that has nothing to do with really understanding Torah. Torah is when a person understands it to the level, when instead of copy and paste, it becomes part of a person's mind. Only when a person is able to use the wisdom and then to gain further wisdom is it true that he actually got that wisdom. Otherwise, it's just simply parroting what he's heard. So unless ten lechacham vayechkam oid, give a wise person knowledge and he becomes even wiser. If he doesn't become even wiser, it's a raya, it's a proof that you've not given him anything, or that he's not a chacham. So if a person tells you something and you don't develop from it anything further, it's a proof either you haven't learned anything or that the person's not wise. Because the Pasuk says ten lechacham vayechkam oid, you automatically becomes wise. Okay. But now the Gemara carries on about Rus, since we mentioned Rus. The most question is that she went and she came. It doesn't make sense that she went and she came. Whoa, you go, and at the end of the day you come back. She went and came back. Until she found people suitable to walk with. She didn't walk with the first people she met, they weren't sneeristic. And again, the Nachlas Yosef points out a very small point that like this, that they were starving with some Nomi. Mom is starving, the Ashach says, I didn't eat in days. And there was leket shikha pear for free in all the fields. And Rus goes, but she sees there's lack of sneeristic people, so she comes home. It's like, it doesn't say this, but imagine you were told that in Marks and Spencer, what's a good shop? Marks and Spencer, good shop, no? There's a 99% sale off. And then what happens is, your wife wants to go, and then she says, you know what, the friend I was planning to go with is not so sneeristic, maybe I'll go another time. It'd be a very big Mesiras Nefesh. Here, Rus, she was about to go and get some food, she was starving. But she saw the people around were not sneeristic, so she decided, you know what, I won't go now, I'll go later. So she came back, decided to go later. So it's tremendous godless. Now, this is what I created with me and now. So who is this girl? But now, the Boaz asked every girl that he saw, who is this girl? He saw by her that matter of wisdom. If there's only two, she didn't gather it. That means there were a lot of poor people around. There was a lot of famine. There has been 10 years of famine. So people were grabbing whatever they could. So most people just took everything. Anything that they saw on the floor, they took. But Rus showed self-restraint and wisdom that she only took that she was allowed. The high grains, she took them while they were standing. Because a person is allowed to take leket not just from fallen grain, but even from grain that's still growing. Nofus, that fell, Miyushav, she took them when she was sitting. The reason is, when the woman bends over to pick something up, it's a lack of stairs, the position she does her body. So, for example, if a woman needs to tie a shoelace in the street, instead of bending, she should crouch. That's much better. She should sit and tie a shoelace. And Rus, even though it was much more difficult, because every time she would have to like stand up and then sit down, stand up, sit down every time. It was a very hot day. Because actually, complained about the heat today. It was a much, much hotter day. And yet, it didn't. She made the effort for tznius. Once Falk, I brought out to say from Rus. Falk gave me a very, very lot. As people told me, even now, I think that he has to keep it on his table by him for months. He used to keep it by him, the Sefer David. He once said to me that, we was discussing with it, he said to me that, and I put it actually in the second, he said to me like this, that most women, one of the guys going off the point together, but he says like this, usually, why do people not do tznius? Because they want to be noticed. But Boaz noticed her because of her tznius. Had she been not tzniustic, she wouldn't be noticed and she would never have had that good shidduch of Boaz. You see over here that some people think that to get a good shidduch, you have to be noticeable. The fact, because of the fact that the way she behaved was the opposite of trying to be noticed. But tzniustic, that's how she eventually became noticed, and actually we got the good shidduch. Okay. You should attach yourself with my maidservants. Did Boaz have maidservants that he was attached to? Since he saw that Rus had within her the ability to attach herself to Nomi, he didn't mean that he should attach, but rather that this is the kind of person that it's good to be attached to. So he wanted the young woman with him to learn from her, and eventually he himself attached, he married her. Come here. He gave her a hint. Hashem told David HaMelech a whole bracha that he will forever and ever be the ancestor of the kingdom of Klal Yisrael. Always the king of Klal Yisrael always has to be descendants from David HaMelech. Even Mashiach will be descended from David HaMelech. So in that the previous passage before we're going to read now, Hashem promised David HaMelech that he will be the king and his descendants will always be kings. When David HaMelech heard that, he said, Hashem Elokim. Umi Beisi House, what's special about me? Kibisani ad Haloim, that you brought me all the way to this high level. So when he said to Haloim, come here, he was referring to that high level that David HaMelech was going to get, who was descended from Rus. But the should dip your bread in vinegar. The person has a very, very, very hot day, he should eat vinegar. So that's what you should do if you get too hot. He gave a vinegar. Vinegar is very, very sharp and bitter. That you're going to have a descendant called Menashe who was going to do terrible things, and his actions would be as sharp and as horrible as vinegar. So what happened was Boaz sat on one end, the Kotzim sat in the middle, this is how Rashi explains, and at the other end sat Rus, meaning that Boaz and Rus were split up from each other. Eventually the kingdom of the David is going to be split up. That's why they split up for the way they sat next to each other. But Yitzvah Lokoli gave a fingerful of toasted grain. She was satisfied and she left over. That means different levels of how much success their descendants will have, because all of them were descended from Rus, David, Shlomo, and Chizkiah. She had left over the days of Rebbe. The stable boy of Rebbe, was wealthier than the king. In those days, the stable boy, the wages was the dung which the horse would relieve himself. So what happened was, Rebbe had so many horses that the stable boy would get from his wages so much dung that he was wealthier than the king. And that gives us some sort of idea of how wealthy Rabbi Yehuda Nossi was. She had left over to Osid David. This is the reward that Rus got for devotion to Yiddishkeit and to her mother. Now the Gemara, since we mentioned a three-way machlokas, Pshat and Pasuk, we're going to mention another three-way machlokas about another Pasuk. It's actually quite a complicated three-way machlokas. Rashi interestingly explains it at great length. Like this, we're discussing the death of all the soldiers of Sanchev. Why was Sanchev had a huge army? How many people was in Sanchev's army? Does anybody know? Medrash says he had about 12 billion soldiers in his army. So it's a lot of people. So the Pasuk says that Akshvoch killed them all out. Which night did he kill them all out? Night of Seder. He actually appeared towards the end of the Seder. We talk about it. So the Pasuk says like this: V'tachas kavoidoi yekad yekud gikud eish. Below or underneath or instead of his honor, there was a fire there was a burning like a fire. Omar Yochanan. We'll read it first inside, then we'll explain this time. V'tachas kavoidoi v'kavoidoi mamash. Rabbi Yochanan calls his clothes that which gives him honor. Tachas kavoidoi mamash means literally is covered. So when Achmeni want tachas kavoidoi kesefas b'nei Aaron, mal Aaron sefas neshama guf kaim, afkan sefas neshama guf kaim. There's a three-way machlokes to understand how did the soldiers of Sancheirov die. Rashi explains like this: the first two Mandomim agree that the bodies were burnt, but the clothes remained. That means it was a huge mess. Billions of soldiers all died. They all got burned to death, but all their clothes remained whole. Now, Shaul says, why did they have such a schus? Anybody want to suggest why they had to have such a schus? Because they descended from Yefes. Nechiv was descended from Yefes. What did Yefes do? He covered his father with clothes, so they got the clothes. Okay. Rabbi Shmuel ben Achmeni says a stage further. Not only did the clothes not burn, but the bodies didn't burn. And what happened? Only the neshamas burned. That means they all burnt, but the bodies were whole. So we have three opinions. The first two hold the bodies were burnt, but not the clothes. The third opinion was that not even the bodies burnt, only the neshama inside. And they have three ways of reading the words v'sachas kavoidom. That means v'sachas can mean two meanings. V'sachas can mean underneath, like tachtis, underneath. V'sachas can be instead of. For example, Rashi even brings an example that the Pasuk says, Chameshus hashoy, tachas hashoy. Well, what's the Pasuk to say? By when the person steals a sheep. Oh, Yeshalem tachas hashoy. You should pay instead of the shoy. So the word tachas, we say by kapor, zeh tachas zeh or something. So you've got tachas can be instead of, it can be underneath. Kavoidoi can mean clothes, and because that brings a person honor. And kavoidoi can mean the body. The body is a person's real honor because that's a person's life, is his body. So therefore, there are three ways to read tachas kavoidoi. Rabbi Yochanan understands tachas means underneath, kavoidoi means clothes. The fire burned underneath the clothes. So what burned? The bodies, not the clothes. Tachas kavoidoi, underneath the kavoidoi, underneath the clothes. Comes along Rabbi Lozo, and he says no. Tachas means instead of. And kavoidoi means his body, meaning that instead of the body, there was a fire, meaning that the body burnt and all that was left was ashes instead of the body. So he agrees with Rabbi Yochanan in what happened, but he disagrees in how he sees it from the Pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan says, "V'sachas kavoidoi," underneath the covered, underneath the clothes got burnt. Rabbi Loza says, "V'sachas kavoidoi," instead of the bodies there was fire, meaning there used to be fire, there used to be a body, and instead of the body there was fire, but therefore the clothes remained. The Afkur is only pshat and pasuk. That means is sachas mean instead of underneath, and kavoidoi the body or the clothes. And the third malach is of Shmuel ben Achmeni. He says kavoidoi, he holds like the second man doma, that kavoidoi means the body. And v'sachas, he holds like a birich on the first man doma, which means underneath. So underneath the bodies, there was a fire. What's underneath the body? Meaning inside only the soul. Inside was burnt. Only the soul was burnt, but the bodies remained whole. That means everybody has, there's two pshatim in the sachas, either underneath or instead. Kavoidoi, two pshatim is clothes or the human body. And then you've got three ways to understand v'sachas kavoidoi. V'sachas kavoidoi means underneath the clothes. Shmuel ben Loza says v'sachas kavoidoi means instead of the bodies, and Shmuel ben Achmeni says v'sachas kavoidoi underneath the bodies. And that's why three different ways to understand what happened to the soldiers of Sancheirov. Top of Kufyu Dalet and Dalet. How do we know that changing clothes is a code for Hashem? That the Kohen would change his clothes. The clothes a person cooks for his rabbi, and even he shouldn't pull for his rabbi. That means if you're working for a king or for a master, and you're cooking clothes, Then afterwards, you serve in other clothes because you want to show it's much nicer. So we see over here the idea that a person should wear nice clothes for Shabbos as a covet. It's a gnai for Talmid Chacham to wear patched clothes in the marketplace. A Talmid Chacham has to treat himself with a certain dignity. Chanina did go out with patched clothes. It's only forbidden if it's a patch on a patch. One patch is okay, but two patches, a patch on a patch, that is forbidden. If a Talmid Chacham has found this greasy stain on his clothes, he's chayav death. Why? Those who hate me love death. Those who cause people to hate me. When a person sees a Talmid Chacham with greasy, dirty clothes, it's off-putting. So it comes to hate on some level, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So you're causing a hatred to Hashem. That causes a person to love death. So Salanta used to say, this brought down to know Samosach Chelik used to say, if a Talmid Chacham with a stain on his clothes causes a hatred for Hashem, a stain in character, how much more so? And he used to say, when the Talmid Chacham behaves in an unpleasant manner, it's a huge chil Hashem, much greater chil Hashem than if a normal person does. What? Because the Talmid Chacham, you expect, but you expect more from somebody you believe is. I mean, you don't see as a representation of Hashem as much. I hear. That's why the society then carries on with the marshal of somebody who takes a talis and hits somebody while he's putting it on. It's a classic example of somebody showing things, but it's a stain in character, and therefore it's huge for Hashem. I hear.
That's not normally on purpose.
But it's a lack of character to not.
Someone hits you with a titter's practicing, they don't know they're doing it.
But if a person will be very careful, I hear it's a stain in character that he's not more worried about it.
Yeah.
Actually, I must admit, when I was a child, once a person did it, and it was very painful. I don't know if you've ever had it. It is quite
It hits you
painful.
straight in the eye.
Yeah, it hits his eye. I can grab it.
I've had it, but it wasn't on purpose.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, you're what? You're tzaddik. What do you say? Yeah, you need a 4 hours around. Ravina says not when a person has a normal greasy stain, but only a stain from semen, because that's more off-putting. Sorry, it said Vavad. Mashal explains it. Rashi explains it like this. There's 2 levels of clothes. There's the outer clothes, the inner clothes. The outer clothes, any stain is off-putting. Because at the end of the day, greasy stain is off-putting. The inner clothes, a person is not off-put if there's a greasy stain. Maybe he was eating and something dropped, and therefore a person doesn't get off-put. But if there's semen on that clothes, that's so off-putting that even on the inner clothes, it is off-putting. So therefore, it depends which stain it is, whether it's the outer clothes or inner clothes, which is off-putting. Hashem wanted Yeshaya to symbolize through his behavior the downfall of the country's problem. It's fine. So he told him to walk undressed and without shoes. And the more explains, it doesn't mean literally undressed. It means with worn clothes. It means with shoes of patches. Yeshaya walked around in these worn clothes to symbolize through his behavior the downfall of these countries, that they'll also have a mapola, that they'll also become worn out. Then also, a stain on a saddle. That means if you want to tovel a saddle in a mikvah, and it's got a stain on it, it's a chatzitza. Why is it a chatzitza? Because it's disturbing, so you want to take it off. Only if it's the size of Isai Talki, it's a certain kind of coin. Less than that is such a small stain that people don't care, and therefore such a small stain on the saddle is okay. If you've got an item of clothing and it's got a stain, if the stain is so deep that it goes from side to side and it goes through and through the clothes, then that's disturbing. But if it's only a stain on one side of the clothes, it's not disturbing. And the halacha is a miot she'eino makpid, a small miot, a small chatzitza, which is not makpid, is not chaytzis even to abundant. The person has to remember that with all the chashoshes of chatzitza. That minadin. If a person has a chatzitza which is less than wove the body or wove the keli, and the person is not makpid about it, it's not chatzitza. So a stain on an item of clothing which doesn't go through and through, the person doesn't care about. And since it's a small stain, it's not chatzitza. Rabbi Yehuda says that a stain, if it's got even on only one side, it's chatzitza. If you've got a shirt, you want to turn it to mikvah, it's got a stain which is not through and through, it is a chatzitza because it does disturb. What about a saddle? Is that from one side or two sides? Because it starts off saying that a saddle is a chatzitza, it's got a stain, but how big? It does have to go through and through. This I never heard. The Kayetz was Shemati heard a similar thing. It's not. The more later will explain what banoin are. Banoin means literally builders. What's mean? The more later will explain what banoin means. So people who are banoin, mitzad echot, then a stain even on one side is a chatzitza. Veshabur, but somebody who's ignoramus, v'shnei study from two study. Let me like this. We've had now 3 opinions regarding a stain on an item of clothing. The Tanna Kama said only if it's a stain which is through and through. But a stain on one side is not a chatzitza. Let's remember that. According to Tanna Kama, only if it's up through and through, but a stain on one side is not a chatzitza. Comes along Rabbi Yehuda and says, no, I disagree with you. Rabbi Shmuel told me that even a stain on one side is a chatzitza. Came along Rabbi Yosi and says in the name of Rabbi Shmuel, no. It depends. Certain times the Chachamim are right, and certain times Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Shmuel is right. If it's a normal person who's not in banoin, then only if it's a stain through and through like the Tanna Kama. But if it's banoin, if there's special kinds of people who called banoin, then indeed a stain. It's like a compromise. One man says only if it's through and through. One says if it's only one side. One man says it depends who it is. But another Gemara says, you asked me a question about a saddle. A saddle surely is less important than the clothes of an amoritz. And amoritz, we said, is only a chatzitza if the stain goes through and through. So therefore, the stain of amoritz is only, so therefore the stain of a saddle is only a chatzitza if it goes through and through the saddle, but not if it's only on one side. And that's how we pass it. For a saddle to have a chatzitza, it has to be a stain which goes through and through, because on one side not, just like the clothes of the amoritz, where it's only a chatzitza goes through and through. My banoin, what is banoin? Those who learn Torah, they keep the world standing, so they are the true builders. So they are the ones who are more makbid about their clothes, because the Gemara said earlier that we don't want them to walk around in the stain clothing. So therefore, regarding them, we're saying that a stain on one side is a chatzitz. And now the Gemara discussed a little bit about halachas Talmidei Chachamim. The Gemara in Mitzvah tells us that if a person says to you, the item that you found is mine, you're only allowed to give it back if he gives you simonim. If it's a Talmid Chacham and he says, I recognize it, you're allowed to give it back to him. So the question is, who's considered Talmid Chacham? He's careful never to wear his clothes inside out. When you clothes inside out, then the seam can be seen. Right? Everybody can see the stitches. And that's off-putting. The Talmid Chacham makes sure not to. The kind of person makes sure not to wear it inside out. He's considered Talmid Chacham to give back the clothes just to recognition. Ben Yoda says a nice pshat. He says, the Gun actually says this, that clothes is symbolic for midas. Mido bad is the clothes which fit a person. Midas have to be at the right size of a person. A Talmid Chacham is somebody who changes his clothes inside out, meaning the power of Torah has such a great influence on him that he overturns his midas and he becomes, let's say, angry, patient, etc., and all the rest. Therefore, otherwise, it's according to Rashi that all he does is changes his clothes from inside out. That's not so special. Who's the Talmid Chacham that we're appointing as a leader? That you can ask him on any sugya in Shas, and he can reply, even Maseches Kala. And Rashi explains, what does it mean, even Maseches Kala? Maseches Kala, it says, is not commonly learned. Since it's not commonly learned, so Talmid Chacham is somebody who can answer anything, even things which are not commonly learned. There's a long taste of yes, we do quite a long taste. It takes us the kasha that the Gemara in Kedushin tells us that the Maseches Kala was the easiest of all Masechtas. Since it was the easiest of all Masechtas, so why is it big to say who the Talmid Chacham, somebody who could answer a question in any sugya, even Maseches Kala? The Maseches Kala, the one Kedushin tells us, is the easiest. If you actually read Maseches Kala, it is a very easy Masechta. So Teis gives 2 different malachim. One malach is indeed it is easy, but people just never get around to learning it. So therefore it shows a greatness that he knows it. Not because it's difficult, but simply that it is easy, but people don't go around to it. So if you can answer anything, even Maseches Kala, that's a greatness. First, the second malach is that over here when the Gemara says Maseches Kala, it doesn't mean at all that Masechta, which Rashi means that Masechas Kala, it means something else. Kala is often referred to as the Beis HaMedrash of Pesach and Sukkot. So Pesach and Sukkot would have a special Yachi Kala of the olden days, where everyone would get together to learn halachas of Pesach and Sukkot. So if you can answer any questions, including the halachas of Pesach and Sukkot, then he's a Talmud Chacham. Who's the Talmud Chacham that people should help him with his business? For example, let's say he needs to sell something, that people should help, should buy dafka from him. That he forgets about his own business and he gets busy with what Hashem needs. And Ben Yehuda adds, that since he's busy with he knows his own business, other people should help with him. That's only to get busy with his bread. Meaning, only to help him that he should have the basic necessities. One's not mechuyev to help a Talmud Chacham to get luxuries. So therefore, this mitzvah to help a Talmud Chacham in business only for his necessities, not for his luxuries. There's different mahalchim now. This Gemara is almost a repetition of the Gemara before. The Torah explains it's an explanation of the Gemara before. There are others who explain differently, but this is the easiest pshat. To make him a leader. If he knows to answer in just one mesechta any question, make him a leader of that town. If he can answer a question in any mesechta, specifically become a Rosh Hashiva. So to become a Rosh Hashiva, you can have to answer any sugya in Shas. But to answer on one Masechta, you can be a leader of one town. And this is the Gemara before, which the Gemara said, is referring to this previous next Gemara. It's a bit difficult that the Gemara says two similar halachas one after the next, which are very similar. The Torah explains the Gemara now has elaborated. That which we said before, they has to know everything, has to be a Rosh Hashiva. But to be a leader of a town, it's enough that he knows just the Masechta. We said before that Banoin, or people that are so makbid about their clothes, that a stain on just one side is a chatzitza because they're more makbid. And the more asked previously, who's Banoin? And the more answered is Tamidei Chachamim. Shimon ben Lakish gives a different shot. It's referring to the bathhouse attendants that when they would dress people after the bath, you go to the local bathhouse, you would get a clothes to wear, or towel, or robe, and those were particularly special. And even a stain on just one side was off-putting, and therefore was a chatzitza. It says, well, remember the chivanidu. A stain only matters on white clothes, because on colored clothes, Rashi explains, people don't notice stains. So if you're telling me that in a bathhouse attendant would make sure to give that not to have stains, it must be the bathhouse attendant. Which kind of clothes would they give? White, because otherwise it will matter. My sons. Biana said to his sons as following instructions. Don't bury me not in white clothes, not in black clothes. Why? Don't bury me in white. I might not be zeichet to Gan Eden. And I might be put in Gehenna. And I'll be like a chosin amongst the mourners. I'll be walking around in Gan Eden, in Gehenna with white clothes. From here we learn, by the way, that a kala should wear white and an oval should wear black. That if I walk around the Gehenna with white clothes, I look strange, I look out of place. Maybe I will be zeich. Therefore, I don't want to be wearing not white clothes, not black clothes, because I don't know if I'm going to Gan Eden or Gehenna. I want to wear colored clothes. I'm assuming, you see the red. Again, the Gemara says that by knowing or being makbid about the clothes, that they don't want it in the smallest stain. Why not? Because they notice it. Says the Gemara, you can only notice if it's white. Yet the Gemara says that Rabbi when he told his children how to bury him, he said, dress me in the same clothes that bathhouse attendants give. And yet we understood from the way he says, not white, not black, but bathhouse attendant clothes, it's obviously talking about that they're not white, black, they're red. The cloak was red, the inner clothes were white. So therefore, when a person would go to the bathhouse and he would get a clothes from the bathhouse attendant, he would make sure that then it would be white, and therefore, since it would be white, he would care about the smallest stain, and therefore would be a chatzitza. I can't hear. What do you say? Even though it's on the inside, the person who goes to the bath really wants his nice clothes, etc. Says the Gemara. A fundamental machlokes in our Mishnah. The fundamental machlokes was: is Shabbos and Yom Kippur equal, or is Yom Kippur less than Shabbos? The nafkamina was that if a person allowed to fold his talis or his clothes on Yom Kippur in preparation for Shabbos. If you hold the equally important, no, you can't. If you hold not, Yom Kippur is less important, then you're allowed to. That was the machrikas. The Torah says, Oilas Shabbos v'Shabbat. I want to explain this drasha outside. Oilas Shabbos, the common of Shabbos, b'Shabbat, you bring it on Shabbos. The pasuk's very strange. Why else should you bring it? We darshan as if there's no vav. Oilas Shabbos b'Shabbos, meaning you can bring the korban Shabbos b'Shabbos on another Shabbos. Meaning you can bring the Shabbos korbanos on another special day. You don't have to bring it on this day. You can choose another day to bring it, another special day, either another day like a Yom Tov, or another day like Yom Kippur. But the pasuk does say a vav, b'Shabbat, it means it's Shabbos. So the pasuk has an inclusion and an exclusion. The fact that it says Ola Shabbos, b'Shabbos, teaches us that you're allowed to bring a korban of Shabbos on another Shabbos, meaning on another special day. We don't know which. We'll come to that in a moment. But it says b'Shabbatoi on its Shabbos is to teach you only its special day. So you've got to weigh it up. You can bring a korban of Shabbos on its Shabbos, but also only on that Shabbos. The more explains. We dash for Shabbos b'Shabbos that the Shabbos can be brought to the different Shabbos meaning Yom Kippur. So you face like this. Maybe I should bring Yom Kippur on Shabbos. On its Shabbos. The its Shabbos is coming to exclude that you can't bring Yom Kippur on Shabbos. You're allowed to bring the fats on Shabbos on Yom Tov. That means he says the Shabbos doesn't mean you're allowed to bring it on Yom Kippur. The Shabbos means you're allowed to bring it on Yom Tov. So each person uses the exclusion and the inclusion for something else. The first man to Rabbi Shmuel says, Shabbos means you're allowed to bring the Shabbos korban on Yom Kippur. The Shabbatoi on its Shabbos, not Yom Kippur on Shabbos. Rabbi Akiva says, Shabbos means you're allowed to bring it on Yom Tov. The Shabbatoi, not Yom Kippur, because he holds Yom Kippur is even more important. If you examine this, you'll work out the Div Rabbi Shmuel and Dov is given Yom Tov. You're allowed to bring any Nedeh and a Dov on Yom Tov. And explains Rashi very beautifully that since you're allowed to bring any korban on Yom Tov, so therefore, of course, you're allowed to, even though you could wait till after Yom Tov. So why allowed to bring it on Yom Tov? The Torah says, I'm bringing a korban. So even though you could wait till after Yom Tov, we allow you to bring it on Yom Tov. Similarly, you're allowed to bring the fats of Shabbos on any Yom Tov. So for that, you don't need a drasha. Just like you're allowed to bring an Eid and a Dova on Yom Tov, you're allowed to bring the fats of Shabbos on the Yom Tov. So therefore, what's the drasha for? So the purpose when the Torah includes something must be for Yom Kippur, because for Yom Tov you don't need a pasuk. Why don't you need a pasuk? Because every Eid and a Dova you're allowed to bring on Yom Tov, even though you could wait for Chol. The Div Akiva and the Dova is in craving Yom Tov. You're not allowed to bring it on Yom Tov. Since you're not allowed to bring it on Yom Tov, therefore, the Mishnah by Yom Tov, you need to include it for Yom Tov as well. Okay, we're going to stop here. I just want to point out, I know that Friday is difficult, but I don't like to have only 5 days. I think it's like I'd like to get to the end of the pair. It's literally just an amud and a bit. I'll give the shiur at 10 o'clock. It means that we're finishing the parak tomorrow. Unfortunately, no lechaim unless you have a lechaim at home. But it means that you need to bring your new art scroll for next Sunday. And on Sunday, it'll be very nice to start a new parak rather than starting. If we don't do that on Friday, we'll end up on Sunday start for something. Oh, it could be the last Friday this year. If the weather's really bad, we might move it to basis Saul. Ready for next Sunday. We'll do the Zoom still.
Yeah, Zoom.
So it means that for Friday Shabbos, you have to do this amud and a bit till the new parak. It's very, very short. It's very short. So we start the new parak on Sunday, which is exciting.
When's the daf up to?
It'll be about a daf or two ahead.
Half an hour tomorrow.
What? Yeah, tomorrow's show will only be about half an hour. Not even. Oh, okay. I'm turning it off. Andrew, are you okay? Yeah, is it clear? So start a new parak with Hashem.
Okay.
Very good. Okay, it's loch a mazel tov for finishing the parak when you finish it. Have a very good Shabbos. And Yehuda yours right. I'm the only one.
More Ben.